Hey you, do you like art? Were you a child once? I was. That means you've probably owned one of these bad boys. That's right. These multi-tool art kits full of quality supplies. 100 supplies for $6. I cannot wait to create something out of this. It smells nostalgic. But there are some things in here that I am not used to using, like oil pastels. How am I going to use them? How am I going to learn? Well, Kasey, take it away. Thanks to the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Kasey was able to learn how to use a variety of art supplies and skills. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes in illustration, watercolor, design, cooking, heck yes, yum, and more. Premium memberships give you an unlimited access to high quality classes from experts working in their field, so you can improve in your skills, unlock new opportunities, and do the work you love and eat it. Ooh. One of the new art supplies Kasey uses in this video is oil pastels, which look terrifying. But thanks to a class by Win, things were looking much easier, and Kasey was able to learn a few techniques and get familiar with the medium before jumping in. Using new art supplies after educating yourself is very useful, and with Skillshare, you can do that. Skillshare is also more affordable than most learning platforms out there. An annual subscription is less than $10 a month. You can sign up using the link in the description, and the first 500 people get a 2-month trial for free. Thank you as usual, Kasey. I cannot wait to get into these, so let's start creating some art with some things I learned. Here we go. All right, so we have our 100-piece art kit for $6 Canadian. And on the back here, it shows all of the contents. So we've got 10 colored pencils,
12 crayons, 8 markers, 24 watercolor paints, 10 oil pastels, a drawing pad with 32 pages,
and 1 storage case. So let's just get into this bad boy. Wow, so colorful. I don't even know where to begin. First off, I will say, oh boy, everyone's favorite brush. This guy, pretty much useless. I'm going to do my best not to sit here and just poop on this whole thing. Our sharpener looks pretty basic. How can you go wrong with a sharpener? And our pad of paper. Let's see. Oh my goodness. This pad of paper. Okay. I'm very scared. I don't know how I'm supposed to use watercolor on something this thin, but you know what? Let's swatch everything and just see what it looks like. I guess texture of the crayon really varied between colors. Some of them were really soft and waxy. Some of them were really hard and just really difficult to get color off of them. So overall, these pencils, I feel like are really hard to get a dark color. They definitely feel a lot better than the crayons, but man, they are short. For my big monster adult hands, they were a little hard to hold. Oh my god, okay. So this paper cannot handle these markers. I went over the paper a couple of times and I could already feel the paper was about to start falling apart. And there it is, it just pilled. So I'm glad they gave us such good quality paper that won't even work with the materials in the box. Oh gosh. I am happy to see that the yellow and orange aren't quite as neon as they look on their packaging, so that's good. These feel very similar to the crayons. I was expecting more of a moist feeling because they are oil pastels, not just regular pastels. But they definitely feel more like regular, like chalky pastels than anything. Or just waxy wax like a crayon? I don't know. I tried to do some blending and it just, wow, they do not layer well. So it is pretty cute. This was a top and it turns into a palette, so that's pretty cute. I'll give them points for that, but yeah, let's see how these watercolors turn out, shall we? Okay, so to no one's surprise, that paper could absolutely not handle that watercolor. It has just really curled up. But yeah, I actually really like some of these colors. We got some really nice earthy tones on the bottom, so I'm pretty excited about that. But let's get into it. Let's create something using at least a little something of each. I'm not sure if I'll use all 100 pieces, but I will dabble in everything and incorporate it into my art. So here we go. Let's get to drawing. So So because I wanted to use a little bit of every supply, I knew that this piece was going to be really colorful, which is something I don't normally do. I usually like to limit my color palette in my illustrations. I just kind of feel like it helps keep the piece really unified. But going into this piece, I knew I was going to make it very colorful, and honestly, I was ready to embrace that. I wanted to play around with all of these supplies. I wanted to make it very colorful. A lot of these supplies were very bright and vivid, so that was really good. So going into this, what did I want to create with a lot of color? All I could really think of was magic, something swirling around, maybe making a character being made out of different parts, and each part was done by a different material, but I also really wanted to see how well all of these pieces could work together. Spoiler alert, they don't work well together, not to mention they don't work well at all to begin with. Positive, gotta stay positive. So with that in mind, I knew that I wanted to make it magical, I wanted to make it colorful, and I was also thinking about making it a little bit 3D just to make it a little more fun. So with that in mind, I thought I would make some sort of magical imp character, doing magic and creating a creature, and that's what I came up with. So that's what I was going to go with. Because I had so many colors to work with and so many different textures, I thought I would try to incorporate everything a little bit here and there, make things look really textured, just really hoping that everything would flow together. And even though I had never done such a huge amount of materials in a mixed media piece, normally I do like watercolor with colored pencil or watercolor with pen. I don't normally mix this many things, especially things that I'm not so used to using, especially like a children's art supply. The main thing, of course, being the oil pastels. I don't think I've ever used oil pastels, probably once in college, but not really ever since then at all. And after watching Imwin's class on how to use oil pastels, I was feeling a little more confident. It looked pretty easy. I also thought it was really fun that she has classes for kids. So I always thought like Skillshare was something that adults could do, like adults are just trying to learn something. But it was really fun to find out that she made classes for kids, and I thought that was so appropriate that I was using an art supply for kids. And heck, I could learn a thing or two about oil pastels, so she really gave a good course. I learned how to blend, and then I wasn't able to use that blending because, wow, these oil pastels, I feel like I didn't give Imwin a good chance for me to really show what she can teach, because these materials couldn't do anything. Like I mentioned, they really just kind of felt like crayons. They didn't have that pastel feel. They weren't any sort of wet feeling. They weren't even really chalky. They were just kind of waxy and weird. You will see as I use these materials, I did end up navigating towards the watercolor just a little bit more than I probably should have. I guess I was feeling really uncomfortable with how bad these were, but I knew I had the comfort of watercolor, so I did use watercolor for the most part. But I did have a lot of fun adding texture with the crayons and the colored pencil, and of course the oil pastel when I could. The oil pastel was probably the worst out of all of these. It just, half of the time the material just wouldn't go on the page. Speaking of page, like I mentioned, I used a Arches mixed media paper because the paper provided in this kit just couldn't handle half the materials. So I figured if I was going to create anything, I was going to have to use a different paper. So I used some mixed media paper, but even so, this paper could not handle the roughness of these materials. It was starting to tear up if I guess put the other materials on top of each other. It just couldn't handle it. It started falling apart as well. So overall, this piece was quite a struggle between the materials not working and the paper not being able to handle it and me using pieces of material that I had never used before. But it was a lot of fun making this piece, I gotta say, especially the 3D piece. The 3D piece is the coolest piece, and I love it. Though I definitely think I'm going to have to give oil pastels another chance later on because I don't think I did them justice. What was I thinking? So as I continued working on this piece, I just wanted to make sure that I had a nice little rainbow effect going on. So we have the purple of the imp, because I knew I wanted to have a green grassy scene and a blue sky. I didn't want to use green or blue throughout the characters, so I was going to have the imp be purple. And from purple, we are going to go to pink, and then pink to red, red to orange, and then to yellow. And then of course that yellow would go to the grass and be green, and then to the sky to be blue. So it's a wonderful rainbow little piece where each, I guess, character or element in the piece is a different color, but it all blends well together, and I thought that was really nifty. Especially the gradient in the Magic 3D piece, it just looks so good. Even though the watercolors were really chalky and hard to get a very smooth gradient, being able to add texture with all the different materials like the pencil and the oil pastel and the crayons, it made this really nice, flowy, textured little piece that just went across, and I loved it. I also tried to make the creature somewhat transparent because it is being magicked into real life. So I figured it would be a little transparent, but I struggled quite a bit with the materials to make it look a little 3D. But I feel like maybe it came off across, I'm not really sure. And because it didn't turn out so great, I thought I would use the oil pastels to add some texture. I know with oil pastels you can get a nice flat area when you really put them down, but these oil pastels weren't gonna do that. So they made a really nice, good texture that I thought I would try to put into the creature, but to be honest, oh boy, they were hard to work with, but I do really like the outcome of this piece. It's really fun and colorful and energetic, and I will just have to give oil pastels another go, another time. And that is our piece. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the creation of this with 100 pieces for $6. If you want to see me do this again, but with 140 pieces from Artist Loft, ooh, what's inside? You'll never know unless you smash that like button, because I can't make the video unless you smash the like button. Once again, thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. If you want a free 2-month trial, be the first 500 people to sign up with the link below. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!